Alright, we're back at it again with more creepy animated horror stories. This one's called 5 Creepy Neighbor Horror Stories. The other one we watched was 5, what was it, 6? 6 Home Alone. This is NEIGHBOUR. This one's called The Crazy Couple Next Door. And yeah. I don't know if this is gonna become a regular thing. Maybe it will be. I just like doing it, it's fun. So, it means a lot to me if you would like and subscribe and all that. So here we go.
Several years ago, when I was 25 years old, I lived with at the time one of my best friends. Our friendship eventually started to dwindle, so she was rarely home. This night, however, she ended up staying at our place and then heading to bed pretty early. I was a server at the time, so I stayed up pretty late, usually watching YouTube and smoking pot. This night was no different than any other, except for the fact that my neighbors actually tried to kidnap me.
Wait, what?
I'll go ahead and give you some background information on my house and my neighbors. We lived in a 3-bedroom house with 2 bedrooms and the kitchen facing the crazy neighbors. They were a younger couple living in a smaller mill house. They were constantly coming to our door asking for handouts. Now, normally I'd be really happy to help a neighbor out, but they would come over and ask for crazy things like for us to fill up an old Mountain Dew bottle with water because theirs had shut off or something, as well as for beer, and they once literally asked us for $1. They would consistently be knocking at our door to ask for help, and whenever we wouldn't answer, I would peek through the window to either see them jacking cigarette butts from the ashtray or pressing their eyeballs against the door peephole to see if they could spot us. It was really strange. Anyway, there I was smoking some weed and watching some YouTube on my couch when I then heard a knock at the door. I rolled my eyes because I knew exactly who had came knocking. It was 11 p.m. and I checked the peephole, and sure enough, it was the boyfriend right on my porch. Normally I'd just walk away and continue with my life, but he looked like he was in distress this night, so I opened the door to see what was up.
Hey, I just wanted to come over and see if you would film my engagement. I got my girlfriend a ring here in my pocket, and I need you to follow me to my backyard and film it for me.
Baffled but really curious,
if someone went up to me like that, I would not even consider going into their backyard, especially if it was Creepy George over here.
Told him congrats and said that I'd be out in just a second and just needed to put my shoes on. I shut the door behind me, then locked it.
Then jumped out
Quickly,
window.
I ran into the back room that looked out into their backyard. I started peeking through the blinds to see the setup. Nothing. It was pitch black darkness.
Sus as.
There was absolutely no sign of decorations or anything like that. Now naturally, I woke up my roommate to tell her what was going on. Yeah, screw that, she said to me, and we both walked back up to the door after the boyfriend started banging on the door. I looked through the peephole again. I couldn't really see anything, and I was really confused. That is, until I saw him pull his eyeball away from the peephole. I quickly turned around and then put my back right up against the door. My roommate came running back to the door from her room holding 2 wire hangers for protection. We both just clung onto the hangers and sat up against the door until he finally left. We were so freaked out, but we wanted to make sure that we weren't overreacting.
They got coat hangers to defend themselves?
We decided to go out our back door and hopped into her car so we could do a drive-by. They always had their front door open, and they also didn't have any blinds, so it was really easy to see in their house. Very slowly, we crept by in her car and peered into the living room. Sitting on the couch and all staring at the wall was there the couple and the older man. We sped off and we ended up staying at a friend's house that night. I never answered the door for either of them ever again. One day I came home from work and there was an older lady that was parked in their driveway. She walked up to me as I got out of my car and asked if I knew where the neighbors were. I told her that I hadn't seen them in quite a while, and she informed me that she was the owner of the house.
Wait, what?
She told me that they were months late on rent and it finally came to evict them. She entered the home to find it completely trashed, needles and garbage all over the place.
I've never felt so close to the possibility of disclosure. The Nephilim.
holes in the wall, and literally shit on the floor. I told her I was really sorry to hear that she had to deal with all that, but that I was happy they were finally gone. I'm really not 100% sure what was going on that night, but I'm really glad that I didn't follow him to the backyard. Who the hell knows what they actually had planned?
He could have.
I want to start off by
He could have asked you. To go subscribe to their YouTube channel, like you should be doing now. Okay, this second one is called Mentally Ill Neighbor Stalked Me. Mentally Ill Neighbor Stalked Me. Wow, that's a very specific name. Story 2, go.
saying that I've never told this story to anyone. I'm a 32-year-old female, and my name is Kara. It all started about 2 weeks ago when I moved into my new apartment. I was all moved in and everything because I live alone, so I didn't really have much stuff to unpack. Later that day, I grabbed my purse and keys to go to work for the day. I was walking to my car when I saw someone start to approach me.
Oh, that's
It was a
creepy.
woman who looked to be at least 45 to 55 years old. It was very obvious that she was a smoker. She also looked really sleep-deprived, skinny, and frail, and she had very noticeable eye bags that seemed to get worse the more I looked at them. "Hello, miss. You must be the new neighbor," said the old woman with an extremely damaged voice caused by years of smoking. "Yeah, I just
Don't smoke, kids.
moved here 3 days ago." I responded as polite as possible, then I noticed she had something in her hands that she hid behind her. She looked really excited to show me what it was. Then she noticed that I saw it, and that seemed to make her even more excited. And she had a huge smile on her face.
Flush toy.
It was horrible. Her teeth were uneven and rotting, she was missing teeth, and her gums looked like they had been bleeding earlier in the day. Her lips were also blistered and dry, and she scared the absolute crap out of me.
Jeez.
"I want you to meet someone," she said to me. She then showed me what she was hiding behind her. Her name is JAMBALAYA. It
Jambalaya.
was a very strange looking doll that kind of
Jambalaya.
resembled a coconut. Thank you. Nice to meet her," I said. I just told her what she probably wanted to hear to avoid any drama. I also had to wrap things up soon before I was late for work. "Sorry, but I have to get to work. I'll see you later, ma'am," I said in an apologetic tone. "No need to be formal with me. You can call me Emma," she said right before I could get in my car. I nodded in response, got in my car, turned it on, and then pulled out of the parking lot. I looked in my rearview mirror for like a split second,
She was
and I
gone.
saw that that woman was dead staring at me while rocking that really weird doll.
Oh, that's creepy.
I concluded that she was probably under the influence, judging by her attitude and the look of her. After work,
Well, she's
I was
possessed.
driving home around 5:05, and I pulled into the parking lot. When I drove in, I saw Emma in the parking lot just sitting in the middle of the road playing with Jambalaya. What the hell is she doing? I mumbled to myself in complete shock as I drove past her. She saw me in my car and she gave me a sinister, rotten smile. I smiled back, just trying my best to keep my composure.
No,
I
that's
parked and stepped out of my car. "Please don't come over here. Please don't come over here,"
She came over.
I repeated in my mind as I walked to the entrance. I avoided eye contact as best as I could, but I ended up looking at her because I heard her saying no and singing something. So I just kept walking, but I also kept looking at her. "Jambalaya, jambalaya, jambalaya," she sang in a low, creepy voice. She was singing it really slow and just kept repeating the doll's name. I walked a little faster, and right before I walked in,
Start
I
running.
looked back to see if she was still singing, but she wasn't. She was stood up holding that doll in one hand, and the other was on her heart. She was visibly upset for some reason. We were just standing there staring at each other for what felt like hours. Then I broke my trance and mouthed an apology, and then walked in my apartment, not looking back this time. As soon as I walked into my apartment, I locked my door. Emma really freaked me out, and I didn't want to be around her anymore. I mean, she isn't hostile or anything, but she really gives me the creeps. I put down my stuff and walked to my room, turned on the lights, flopped on my bed, and then sighed. I then got back up and I started cleaning.
And once again, the king of ruining tension.
Up my mess. I walked to the window, slightly scared of what I might see. Nobody. I was really relieved. Part of me was expecting Emma to be looking at me from my window. I woke up at a really uncertain time and looked over to my bedside table to pick up my phone, then realizing that it was 4:30 in the morning. I tried to figure out why I woke up and turned the bedside light on because I was wide awake for some reason. It was kind of unnerving because I didn't understand what was happening. As I was laying there in my
Hey, are you sick of your day job? Give me 67
And
seconds
another
and I'll
ad.
show you.
bed, I started hearing really weird tapping noises and then froze. Being the person that always listens to scary stories and has become a little paranoid, I started to freak out.
Me too, huh?
I didn't really know if I should get up and go see what was happening or just stay in my bed and wait for it to pass. The
Jump out the window.
tapping had stopped after about a minute, and I had just heard shuffles and something like a whisper. At this point, I was definitely freaking out, but I really didn't know what I should do. All of a sudden, everything went quiet for about 5 minutes. I was still too scared to get up when all of a sudden my front door slammed super loud. This freaked me out so badly that I got up from my bed super fast, looking in every room trying to figure out what the hell just happened. I didn't see anything, so I was starting to freak out even more now, thinking I was going crazy. The last place I checked was the bathroom, and I looked in the shower to see if somebody was hiding in there. To
They're
my
not
surprise, there
JAMBALAYA.
was something in there, but it wasn't a human, and right after I saw it, that was when I realized who had been in my apartment. It was the doll. I have
Oh,
no
that's
idea why she wanted to break into my apartment just to leave this stupid doll in my
Just look at its face. It's like, it's first Pikachu face.
bathtub. It makes absolutely no sense, and I still have no idea why she did it.
Just
After
wanted
this
to wash it.
event, I realized just how
See?
crazy this woman really was and how dangerous
Don't
she
always
could
see
be.
the bad in people.
How was she able to break into my apartment, and how long was she in there, and what exactly was she doing other than leaving a doll in my bathtub? Later that morning, I looked around the whole apartment trying to figure out just how she broke in. After about 10
Window.
minutes of searching the apartment and checking every door and window, I noticed that my bathroom window was unlocked and even still opened ajar. This freaks me out so much, and I instantly become mad at myself for forgetting something as important as locking all your doors and windows. I knew right away this is how she managed to break in, and she must have just went out the front door because it was easier. I went to the apartment manager and staff and explained everything that had been going on, and how I would possibly be moving out soon due to this crazy-ass person I was living next to.
That guy looks like he just came back from a Michael Jackson cosplay show. What the?
Thankfully, they really understood my situation, and they said they would be talking to Emma about what had happened. They offered me next month's rent for free if I stayed. I decided to
guy's
accept this
decent,
offer
actually.
since I had just recently moved in, and I didn't really have a lot of money on me at the time. Around a week later, after nothing else had happened, I heard from the apartment staff that Emma was getting arrested and possibly getting sent to a psych ward. They explained to me
Jeez.
that after the manager had tried to talk to her about what was going on, she had confessed to breaking into my apartment, to which she then became furious and denied the whole thing. She had a mental freak out and was taking it out on the manager just because he tried to talk to her about her actions. This led to her getting aggressive and being arrested. I have to say, I was pretty damn happy about the news of her being arrested because that meant that I didn't have to worry about her anymore, and it gave me a lot of hope for my new
Scary,
apartment. I threw that doll away and decided to move on with my life that year after
Yeah.
experiencing all that hell. I never
throw
want to
the
go
doll
through
away,
something
yeah.
like that again.
Oh, there you have it, folks. Part 1 of creepy neighbor stories animated. That second one, jeez. That one was terrifying. With the whole doll, the atmosphere, just the creepiness of the whole story. That one was good, but in a bad way. It wasn't bad in a good way. Nah. Anyway, get ready for part 2 later on this week. And yeah, see you. Bye bye.